fucking yes me. 'Cause we stay all late, and I'm wide awake. I'm not coming home tonight. So the next time when I'm borderline, I'll read you this note. I'm not coming home tonight.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Pass Interference Podcast. I am your host, as always, Max Whirling. How's everybody doing tonight? We are recording on a Saturday. This is a weird experience recording on a Saturday. It's also 316 Day, Austin 316 Day. So everybody crack a couple cold ones open, smash a couple beers, and give a couple people some Stone Cold Stunners. So we have a shitload to get through today because, man, last week after we recorded, the NFL basically blew up and everything happened all at once. And yeah, it's ridiculous. So we are first going to start off with, of course, introducing everybody. To my imaginary right, it is the master of the beard. It is Johan Jonathan Neckert. How are you, sir?
Doing wonderful. All moved in. It's Austin 316 Day. Got to kick some people out of my job. So, you know, as much as I wanted to Stone Cold Stunner, I'm honoring today by drinking some good old beer. So, give me a hell yeah.
Hell yeah. And to my imaginary left of me, it is, of course, the master of the beer. Not the beard, the beer. It is Bronson Pompilio. How are you, sir?
I am fantastic. Was loving me some of last week, man. Some crazy stuff.
Yeah, it was absolutely fucking insane last week. So we're just going to dive right into it. The first thing that really kicked off everything was, of course, the big trade coming out of Pittsburgh. Antonio Brown finally traded from the Steelers to the Oakland Raiders. So, and what's crazy about this trade was it was for pennies, essentially. You get arguably the best wide receiver in the NFL, and all the Steelers got for him was a 3rd round pick this year and a 5th round pick this year. And now, of course, the Raiders also signed him to a new contract that basically gave him more money and up front and everything like that. But holy fuck, Bronson! Your thoughts on this trade? First off.
Oh man, I was so glad to see it finally done. Like it was so drawn out for such felt like an eternity, man. I was like going to bed, like what was it, like the night before? They were like, all right, like Antonio Brown and him and his buddy posted that video of him already wearing like the black and gray, and then like you wake up and it's like, all right, like they're working out a deal with a team. They weren't even like specific about what team. And I was like, I had my, Joe was still over, and I was like, man, like watch this be like some other random team. Like no one's talking about, like we haven't heard anything yet. Like what the fuck is going on? Like why is it taking so long? I was like, watch it be Carolina, man. Watch Carolina come in and like get him. And then it ended up being the Raiders, and then I was just like, thank God it's over.
Now, John, this being your division foe and everything like that, a 3rd and a 5th for arguably the best wide receiver. Are you shocked? Are you surprised?
I kind of was. I mean, I know he's not really that young anymore. He's still playing at an elite level. But I am thinking like, oh, okay, it's the Raiders, so it's going to be one of their 3 first-round picks. But it wasn't, and I guess that really goes to show that the Steelers were just like, you know what, we just want this to be over, screw it. And now Antonio is going to sign that deal to make him, I think, the highest-paid wide receiver in the league. I was stoked to finally see him leave the division. And of course, I mean, we'll touch on the later news that, there was another addition to that division that's going to, terrorize the Ravens. So I'm not looking forward to that. But it's going to be interesting to see how he does without Roethlisberger. I mean, Derek Carr is a great quarterback. Still going to be interesting to see how they work together. And then when they move to Vegas, you're going to have one of the best wide receivers in the league representing the new Vegas team. So, it sets up pretty nicely for Antonio. It's a win-win for both him and the Steelers. The Steelers can finally move on from him and Lev Bell. They don't have to worry about, hopefully, too many distractions next year. And the Raiders, they're starting to build a pretty nice receiving core. So it'll be interesting to see what Antonio Brown, attitude-wise, we're going to get next year. If he's going to cause them any problems in the locker room. They have John Gruden, so I'm sure he's not going to want to put up with a lot of his bullshit. But I mean, it's Antonio Brown. I mean, is he going to be happy now and shut up and play, or is he going to continue being pretty big diva? So it's a win-win. Glad to see him leave the division, and yeah, I'm just glad it's finally over.
Yeah, I am too, and we can finally close out, at least for now, this saga of the Antonio Brown chapter. Hopefully it's not, going to be a sour note in Oakland. We'll see. Now, he's been posting a lot, and him and Derek Carr have been posting a lot, because one of the issues that Antonio said that he had with Ben Roethlisberger was the fact that, they're out here trying to win championships, and he would always call Ben, or he'd always say, hey, can we, practice together in the off season, like come over to the crib, just hang out, build a rapport. And Antonio Brown said, I've been to his house once, he's been to my house once, and that's it. And so now, the last at least 4 days since he's been traded, he's been with Derek Carr. He's just been hanging out with him. I don't know if they're actually practicing or if they're just, going out and causing shenanigans with each other and filling each other out, whatever the case may be. But I think ultimately, Antonio Brown, pretty much is happy. I hope so, because they're paying him to be happy, essentially. So, and the Raiders have made some sneaky good moves. In terms of everything for free agency. We'll just run down everything really quick from them since we're talking about them. They re-signed, they signed Trent Brown to a huge contract, making him the highest paid offensive tackle, which...
Yeah, that was an absurd contract, to say the least.
It could either be the thing that helps this franchise, or it could be the thing that sinks this franchise. I think that's a bigger...
$37 million guaranteed, too.
Yeah. He is the highest paid NFL lineman, and think about it like this too. Think about how great the defense or the offensive line coach from the Patriots is. Dante, I can never pronounce his name right. Dante Skirish, something like that. I don't know. Yeah, basically. He basically was the offensive line coach through all of Nate Solder's career. He ends up signing the largest deal last year for the Giants, and now Trent Brown, who was an afterthought essentially and was traded for pennies, wins a Super Bowl, plays well down the stretch, and he turns his contract into the largest deal that offensive tackle's ever signed in free agency. So, good on this team. I mean, for that, if it works out. So that happened. LaMarcus Joyner signing them for 4 years, $42 million. That was a pretty big thing because their secondary was awful. Again, another thing that could bite them in the ass in the end because it's a lot of money, but low guarantees. $17 million only guaranteed. So, they could easily cut away from that in a year or two if they're unhappy with his performance. And finally, the one that came out more recently is Tyrell Williams. 4 years, $44 million, max incentives of $47 million. That wide receiver core, as you said, John, is starting to look really, really nice.
Yep.
Really
fast. They didn't really have last year. Yeah, they got a lot of talent and a lot of speed.
Yeah, absolutely. So it kicked off with that. Was that big trade. And then everything blew up at that point in terms of everybody of signing everywhere. Really quick, going to go through everything. Trey Flowers signed a 5-year, $90 million contract with the Detroit Lions.
So much money.
I know. for a guy who realistically, I mean, I guess he's been really good. To be honest, Bronson, again, you're our resident NFL guru, being the man with the best picks of the NFL. And it's your division rivals. What do you think about the signing? Other than the money, just the player itself.
I feel like it was a bit of a reach by Patricia. Like, it's like, oh yeah, I mean, like I knew him in New England really well, and we got along. I mean, I think his career most sacks in a season is 7. So like, I mean, it's not like he's ever been like amazing. He's just been another New England Patriots cog, like one of the guys, you know. So it just smells like Jamie Collins 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, it could. Let's see here. His highest sack totals is actually last year was 7.5. He's averaged in his essential, because his first year he only played 1 game, so that we'll chalk that up to, I think he got injured. So in his 3 years since, he's averaged about 7 sacks a year. So you're looking at a 7-sack guy.
Yeah, he's a rotational guy in any other defense. He was a starter for them all year. Like, that's Zadarius Smith. You know, just compare the difference in, you know, I mean, Pernell McPhee. I mean, just guys that they have churned out over the years. As you know, I feel like there's like a Baltimore edge rusher every year that like gets like 6 to 8 sacks and then makes bank. But like his money was just absurd.
Yeah,
just absolutely absurd. It just felt like a desperation move. I mean, even Prince Mukamara tweeted about it to Mitch Trubisky. I think you saw it. It's like, fuck, man, like this division right now is just all signing pass rushers. Everyone in our division's just throwing money at pass rushers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. It was so that was a big deal right there that got signed. Next thing that we all expected that was pretty much signed, sealed, delivered on day 1 of free agency. Nick Foles going to the Jaguars to play quarterback. So the Blake Bortles experience is over in the Jaguars saga of trying to win a Super Bowl and trying to be relevant again. And they get Nick Foles, which I don't know. I'm worried that Nick Foles isn't going to be worth the money. I mean, here's how I feel about it. I feel like he's a better quarterback than Blake Bortles, but is he going to fit schematically in that system well? And is he going to fit schematically well in playing in a different city? He's already left once. He's already left Philadelphia once, and because he left once, he went into 2 teams and basically was about to retire until Andy Reid was like, nah, come join me in Kansas City. And that led him to eventually lead them to the playoffs in Philadelphia, him going to Philadelphia, them leading them to a Super Bowl, and then leading them to the playoffs last year. But, John, overpay or like, what do you grade that deal as?
I mean, I think it's good for both teams. I mean, it was about time the Jaguars moved on from Blake Bortles. I mean, a couple seasons ago when they made it to the AFC Championship, I mean, they had a very solid team, but it was Blake Bortles under center, and it's like, I don't know how Nick Foles is going to fare with this team. I mean, I know the last time he left Philly, it didn't really pan out too well, but I don't know. I feel like he's playing at a different level. If they can kind of replicate what he was doing in Philly and give him some solid targets, because that's one thing that they're going to need. I mean, whether it's in the draft, I know there's not really a lot of good talent in free agency still, and it really wasn't to begin with at the wide receiver level. I mean, I like it. I mean, I've been a Foles guy. A lot of my Eagles friends, some of them that I work with, I like Carson Wentz, but I kept telling them, I was like, I think you guys are going to really regret letting Foles go if, the last couple seasons with Wentz getting hurt pans out. If the same continues to happen, then I mean I think they're going to really regret it. But I mean there was no way they were going to pay Foles that kind of money. I think it'll work out. That division's pretty interesting. The Texans, I mean, on paper they should be the team to beat, but then last year with Andrew Luck coming back, they started really getting hot. So if Andrew Luck stays healthy, then they're going to have to compete with that. So I don't know. I mean, I like the move. If Foles gets a really big payday after basically almost giving up football more than a few years ago, and he gets a nice shot to prove that, it's not just a fluke with Philly, that he can go out there and do it with a team that a couple seasons ago were basically a quarterback away from getting to the Super Bowl. So it'll be interesting. It's a lot of question marks, but I like the move.
Bronson, if you had to put a letter grade to this deal for the Jacksonville Jaguars, what do you put it at?
In terms of just the contract or the whole shebang?
The whole damn shebang. The player, the contract, and the fit.
The contract, I don't mind so much. I didn't think it was completely absurd. I felt like that was right where the market had him. But I also am extremely concerned about the lack of weapons. Granted, there's a draft for that. But I know they got Marquise Lee coming back after the ACL tear or Achilles tear or whatever. And I think it was an Achilles. But they'll have him back, and we'll actually see if it was smart of them to keep him instead of Allen Robinson. I mean, what the fuck do I know? But I never would have done that. And then you got a new OC there. So, I'm not even I can't even think of the name that they hired after they got rid of Nathaniel Hackett.
I think to be honest, I think it's John DeFilippo.
You know what? You may be right.
Let's see. John DeFilippo, he is... Yep, the offensive coordinator for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Well, there you go. So you won a Super Bowl with him. So there's a connection there. So, I mean, the play calling will be seamless for him. So that could be a sneaky good thing. I mean, they got the defense. They do play in the AFC South. I mean, until the Houston Texans really solidify that offensive line, I think it's the Colts division, and then either
who else?
If the Jags can step up and be a 10-6 team, which I think is not out of their reach, if they play well enough on offense, if Leonard Fournette can stay healthy and not be a shithead, then they could potentially get something going.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And what like
put a C
go ahead.
minus or B minus on it.
B minus. Yeah. I agree full-heartedly. I think Nick Foles fits what the Jacksonville Jaguars want to do. I think it fits what God, who's their head coach? I'm drawing a blank here. Who's their head coach? Oh my God, who's the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars?
I'm working on it. Wait.
Doug Marrone.
Yeah,
Doug Marrone. Okay. Whew, I was drawing a blank there. Sorry. Have a lot of shit going on. Doug Marrone, yeah, I think he fits Doug Marrone's scheme perfectly well. And you're right, there's that familiarity with DeFilippo there, who helped basically will him to a Super Bowl. So it's good news for Jacksonville. It's bad news for Blake Bortles, which I told John last night, we were talking, and he's taking a visit to go see the LA Rams. And John's like, God, could you imagine if he signs with the Rams and Goff gets hurt and they have to rely on Blake Bortles to win them a big game?
It'll literally be just like the Jaguars a couple years ago. They have weapons and they have a great defense. Like, that's exactly what the Jaguars were a couple years ago when they went to the AFC title game.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So,
if
go ahead.
Bortles gets a chance to play in a McVay system and he hacks it or doesn't hack it, I mean, then we know.
If he hacks it in a McVay system, then McVay, and I'll say that Sean McVay is the greatest offensive mind and greatest quarterback coach, whisperer, whatever you want to call him, in the history of the NFL. If he doesn't hack it, then Blake Bortles is what we thought he was, a guy who couldn't throw outside the hashes and could only throw realistically 3 routes. So we'll have to see, because that's still a developing story. We don't know yet. We're just talking about stuff that's happened today, happened this week. Then the next big target that came off the board that shocked the shit out of, I think, all three of us with how much stupid money was thrown. It was, of course, my Washingtonian Redskins signing Landon Collins, 6 years, $84 million with $45 million guaranteed.
Money.
Holy fuck. Where to start with this? I love the player. I love Landon Collins. As a guy who was a second round pick who should have been a first round pick, 3-time Pro Bowler. A lot of people say he's a box safety, but if you actually watch him in coverage, he's actually really good. He just doesn't intercept the ball that well, which I'm not too upset about. I don't need a safety to really pick off the ball 10, 12 times, a season. If he can contribute 2, 3 with, 6 or with like 30 pass breakups or something like that, I'll fucking consider that a win. As for the contract,
Big L.
You've now invested pretty much, I want to say maybe 20% of your cap to Josh Norman and Landon Collins. And that's scary. I mean, you're already taking an L in terms of the Alex Smith contract, only because he's injured. I had no issues with the Alex Smith contract up until the injury happened. Now I'm like, fuck, we shouldn't have signed him to that massive deal. So you signed Landon Collins to play safety, which has been a constant need since his idol, which he's talked about before, Sean Taylor. It's been so for basically what we're talking 12 years. We've needed a safety, and we had one realistically last year in DJ Swearinger, but because he spoke about how he didn't like how a defense was called against a defensive coordinator that eventually got fired. He got fired. They end up going, well, fuck you, we're going to release you. So DJ Swearinger, I don't think you listen to this podcast. Maybe you should. Maybe I'll reach out to you. I love you. I wish you would have stayed with the team. And I think Bruce Allen letting you go because you were speaking your mind about a really terrible defensive fucking coordinator calling a terrible game, I had no issues with what you said. So I hope you ball out in Arizona where you're back there, and I hope you help turn around that defense and make it great again, because I love DJ Swearinger. I could not fucking believe they released him, and that's another story, because I've already talked about that before. So
I have a question for you though, Max.
Okay.
Did they already announce what number he's going to wear?
21.
Is it going to be 21?
Is it really?
Well, because I was watching the NFL Network yesterday, and Snyder gave him a game-worn Sean Taylor signed jersey, and he came out and said how, that was his idol, when he was playing, when Sean Taylor was in Washington. And, I mean, I know 21 wasn't technically retired. Obviously, no one's worn it since Sean Taylor, but, I mean, that's been his number, and, I think it'd be...
So this is from NFL Network, just a day ago. This is, so basically what it is that he hopes, it says right here that he hopes to wear number 21 as a tribute to Taylor. What's that?
If not, then 36.
At 36, I could also see, I know he was in, I believe in Alabama he was, or at the Giants he was 26, or in Alabama he was 26. Let me see here. Let me look him up. Landon Collins, Alabama. Not Alabama. Let's see. Yeah, he wore 26 in college. So I could see him wearing 26. With the Redskins, as long as nobody's really taking that. Even so, we know that jersey swaps happen all the time in the NFL. So, go ahead, Bronson.
I was gonna say, isn't 26 Adrian Peterson?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it is. So, fuck, man. He gonna have to. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see now. So Adrian Peterson's 26, Chris Thompson's 25, so he won't take that. Josh Norman's 24, he won't take that. Fuck, there's not a lot of numbers there to take. Yeah, I mean, I could see him wearing. What's that?
Setting up, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Like Snyder kind of warmed him up to when he gave him that jersey.
yeah, I mean, realistically, I could. If you're gonna honor the man and you're gonna, I think if anybody's gonna wear that number and wear it with pride, and honor that number and respect that number and try to play to the best ability to that number, I think it will be Landon Collins. So that's the only thing. And I also think that if you're going to do that, you have to. If you're Landon Collins, I think you have to go up to Sean Taylor's widow and say, hey, you know, this is my idol. This is who I play for. This is who I've respected and based my game off my entire life. I want to honor him by wearing this number. And if as long as she gives her blessings to him, I'm okay with it. So it'll be interesting to see though what's upcoming. So I would have no issues. I would love to see another number 21 on the field, but we'll have to see. That'll be a developing story, I'm sure, that we'll talk about later. So, then after Landon Collins happens, the next things that came out basically were the New York Jets. Now the Jets, they have a lot of fucking money to spend, and they sure made some noise to go spend that money. And where they spent their money on was re-signing Henry Anderson. They signed Jamison Crowder, which I'm a little upset about because I love Jamison Crowder, but it is what it is. I don't know where he fits, actually. We'll talk about that really quick. He's basically a slot receiver, but they already have one, essentially, in Robbie Anderson. And he's not number one.
I mean, they could probably put Robbie outside. I mean, he's big enough to play outside.
But he's very...
He's going to be his screen guy, man. I'm telling you. He's going to be Adam Gase's little go-to screen man.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess.
It's going to be his Adrian Wilson.
Yeah, I could
Wilson,
see it.
Whatever the fuck his name is.
Albert Wilson, yeah. I could see it. So, they trade for Kelechi Osemele, former Raven, and also and a pick swap, essentially. They traded him and a 6th-round pick for a 5th-round pick. So, I mean, great pickup by the Raiders. Osemele was injured for most of last year. He still played all the games, but he was injured. You could tell by his play. But, I mean, when healthy, you're talking about one of the best left guards in the NFL and all-pro level. So if he's back to where he was just 2 years ago, that's a great pickup by the Jets. And then they think they land their biggest free agent acquisition before they landed the next one, which was Anthony Barr. They signed him to this big, huge contract. We're all talking about it. We're like, holy shit, that's big money and all this stuff. And then we all go to sleep and we wake up to news that he was feeling sick. And this is an actual quote, that he actually was downright sick to his stomach, that he just left the Vikings and instead changed his mind and went back to the Vikings. Bronson, NFC North guy, what are your thoughts on Anthony Barr basically going,
Well, I had some words. I mean, for all intents and purposes, I was like, fuck you, you motherfucking asshole. How dare you come back? I really wanted him gone. I love that he just drives the piss crazy out of Aaron Rodgers, so it would be great to see that twice a year, but I was really looking forward to not having to worry about him on the Vikings.
Yeah, I mean, here's
moved by him.
Yeah, I think he gets his money. He doesn't get as much money out of they would have gotten out of the Jets, but I think he still gets his money. I think he gets the comfortability of the Vikings, and I think when it came down to it, he wants to rush the passer. He can play off ball, or I should say on ball. He can play No, rushing the passer is on ball, right? Yeah, on ball. He can play off ball linebacker pretty well, but he wants to rush that passer, and I think the Vikings are going to find ways, and Mike Zimmer's going to find ways to go. Okay, let's get you outside, and let's see what you can do against rushing the passer. So I think it was a smart move by the Vikings. And then, of course, the other big news, John, C.J. Mosley went to bye bye. He went to very bye bye.
Yeah.
Really quick before we talked about the C.J. Mosley thing, we didn't realize how much of a market there was going to be for middle linebackers up until Quan Alexander was the first one off the board, and Quan Alexander signed a 4-year, $54 million contract. And I think, John, when you saw that contract, you're like, fuck.
Yep.
Am I wrong?
Oh no, because I mean that reset the market. Because before, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think before the highest paid middle linebacker was Luke Kuechly at $12.5 million a year.
He was.
Yeah.
He was the highest paid at $12.5 million. And then Quan Alexander, who's coming off an ACL tear, completely destroys that by getting basically $14 million a year. We don't know the guarantees just yet, but still, $54 million for a guy who was a one-time Pro Bowler. And, you know, he plays, I like the way he plays. Some people say he plays a little too reckless. I love Quan Alexander, but, yeah, a lot of fucking money to Quan Alexander.
Oh, yeah. And, I mean, you know, Mosley, you know, I'm happy for him. He got a big payday. There was no way the Ravens were going to match. I had a 5-year, $85 million, 51 guaranteed. I'm happy for him. I mean, you know, maybe the Ravens should have tagged him. Maybe, you know, in foresight, that would have been the right move. Maybe. But almost every year, I know he's been, you know, the guy that they said, oh, he's replacing Ray Lewis. You know, they plugged him right in after Lewis retired. And, you know, he's a great linebacker. He's definitely one of the top 5 in the league. He's great against the run. My biggest gripe that I've always had with him is that he's not really that great in coverage. But I mean, there was
you got in the playoffs because of his coverage.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, he better have caught that ball. I mean, they threw it right to him. but I mean,
we watched the play though. I mean, the boy was like literally rushing and then backed up.
Yeah, he dropped up. That was a smart move. But the one thing I will say is, like, Bronson touched on it a little in the beginning of the year. Almost every single year, it's usually with the edge rushers. There's always a Ravens player that gets a big contract. Zardarius Smith just got one. But, I mean, I was a little upset at first, but I took a step back and I thought about it. And we have 2 great young middle linebackers. Patrick Onwuasor, he goes by the nickname Peanut, and Kenny Young. And when they didn't play too much last year, I mean, Peanut did a little. But when they were in there, I mean, they were balling out, and they're great. They're solid against the run, but they can really cover too. I mean, Onwuasor is only 26, and then Kenny Young they drafted last year. He's only 24. They're both great middle linebackers. They're fast. They're pretty big. And so I took a step back and I thought about it. I was like, you know what? This isn't too bad. And I was a little upset at first, and I was very critical because this is Eric DeCosta's first year as GM. So I'm like, all right, what the hell is he doing? Like, all these players are walking, and you know, there's no way they're going to give Mosley a contract to even come close to that. So I'm happy for him. He's a great guy. He did an amazing job after Ray Lewis retired. The fans loved him. I mean, I almost got his jersey because I was a big fan, and he stays healthy. That was a big thing, especially for the Ravens. Almost every year we deal with injuries like crazy. It's like a wildfire, and you know, he stays healthy. He's a pretty solid leader. He doesn't get in any trouble, and he'll do well. I mean, he's going to go to the Jets. I think he will stick around for quite a while. I mean, Zardarius Smith, I'm not sure. I mean, you know, he might become one of the very many edge rushers that the Ravens let move on that just kind of disappear after like a couple years. So, you know, I'm happy for Mosley. He's going to do well in New York, and they're building a great team over there. So, you know, whenever the Brady era finally ends, you know, I think the Jets are setting themselves up pretty nicely.
Absolutely. Bronson, 5 years, $85 million, $51 million guaranteed. Holy fuck. Am I correct?
Big money Mosley.
I mean, yeah, it's big fucking money, but like, you know, like my counter argument to this whole thing is the cap gets raised every year, so are the contracts. Like, this is gonna happen, and like you said, it's Luke Kuechly money, right? Well, Luke Kuechly got paid how many years ago, and how old is he? You know what I mean?
Let's see here. Luke Kuechly. Hold on. Keep talking. I'll look it up.
And so that's like your know all be all for linebackers, okay? So, in my opinion, CJ Mosley is the best inside linebacker within his age range. There's not a linebacker at his age with his skill set and his talent in the NFL. I think the closest one would be Bobby Wagner. Bobby Wagner is probably arguably the best linebacker in the NFL currently, but he's also up there. I think he's like, 28 now? Almost. He'll be 29 next season. So you got to compare that as well. CJ's 26, 27?
Let's see. Bobby Wagner will be 29 at the start of next year. Yeah. CJ Mosley is... Let's look it up here. CJ Mosley is 26. He'll be 27 at the beginning of next year. He turns 27 in June.
Yeah, and Kuechly's 31? 32?
Actually, no. Kuechly is 27.
Seriously?
Yeah, Kuechly is 27 years old.
How young was he when he came into the draft?
He was 21 years old.
Yeah.
He was April 20th, 1991. So he's the same age as me. So he'll be 28 at the start of next year, but yeah, he's 27 years old. He signed his contract.
Wow. Damn.
I know, he signed his contract in 2015. That's just crazy to me, though. In 4 years, I mean, he's going to get paid now. I mean, he has to. In 4 years, right? He signed his contract September 10th, 2015, a 5-year, $62 million contract extension. So that means his contract basically is up in the next year, maybe 2. Like, he's going to get fucking paid. You want to talk about linebackers getting paid? He is going to get fucking paid by somebody.
Especially where the market's at now.
Yeah. I mean, Christ almighty, he is... Let's see how much longer he has on his contract. Luke Kuechly has... where is it? Current contract. He has... No, I don't want a fucking ad! No, I don't want a fucking ad! God damn it!
Well, I mean, a lot of it too. I mean, if like, let's say like Quan and CJ just like combust and burst into flames, and it'll bring the market back down.
Yeah.
But if they play well, then yeah, those contracts will stay there. But
he's got 3 more years. Yeah, he's got 3 more years to go.
That's why you also argue. Let's say, for example, that CJ was tagged, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Quan Alexander was a free agent, and he signed with the Niners.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any way that he gets the contract that he got. I don't even think it happens. I know, like, like it probably something happened along the way where like Quan was like, all right, well, if you're gonna offer me this much, CJ's probably gonna definitely make this much. So like, let's meet here and get to this number. And God only knows. I mean, teams, agents talk amongst themselves. God only knows what one agent said to the other. Like, hey, brother, like, they're offering me this much right now on CJ.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just saying, like, if you tag CJ, you know, that's also the argument. Okay, so like, let the Quan Alexander, he would have been, you know, probably the highest paid linebacker on the market, and if he fails, then you can renegotiate in a year with CJ and then see, like, you could probably give him what Quan got, you know what I mean? So, like...
And I get that from that aspect, but it was like I was telling you before, I mean, it was... And I get it. The cap goes up, players' numbers goes up, things like that. But we're talking about, basically, we're talking about, what, $5 million extra that C.J. Mosley's making compared to Luke Kuechly for... And I get it. You know, Kuechly signed his contract, 4 years ago. and Mosley signing his contract now. But what the fuck, man? I literally don't think anybody expected that massive of an offer. Even Baltimore, I don't think they expected 5 years, $85 million. And I think
that happens. I mean, Landon Collins, his deal did the same thing for the,
I know.
the safety market. So.
I know. I agree with that full-heartedly too. I think because of him signing his huge contract, I think a lot of people are like, what the fuck, you know? Like, and I love Landon Collins. I love the way he plays. We just talked about it. But nobody expected him to make $14 million over 6 years. Who signs a 6-year contract anymore? And that's like honestly, who signs a 6-year contract? I thought deals basically. Yeah, other than Khalil Mack, like safeties, defensive backs, like nobody signs a 6-year fucking deal. It's just insane money that just went around. So,
One thing I was joking about with some of my friends, and I think even you guys, I was like, I think the Jets are still kind of like bitter over the last number 57 former Ravens linebacker, Mr. Can't Wait. So they're like, you know what, let's try another one. And I think he'll do a lot better than Bart Scott did when he went to New York. So I will say that.
Yeah, Bart Scott, I think, was super old when he went there, if I'm not mistaken. He was fairly young.
Yeah.
But yeah.
9:30.
Yeah. Yeah, I still can't believe that though. That I mean, again, I think that's what's crazy about everything with the He was 29 when he went to the Jets. So we're talking about 3 years younger for better player in the Jets. So I think the Jets did really well. And I think they upped their offer once Anthony Barr was like, okay, I'm not playing for you guys. I think the Jets were like, well, we can't let two people slip up, because for all intents and purposes, we heard Mosley did not want to leave Baltimore. Did they?
Before he left.
Okay. Yeah. So
he left the next morning. I remember that they both were agreed, and then that following morning, he was like, nah, sorry, CJ.
Yeah. And then really quick before we get to the other big trade that happened as well, some just other news that came out, or some other signings that came out. We'll go over them really quick, because I'm looking at NFL.com's 2019 101 top 101 free agents. They had number 10 Sheldon Richardson, who played for Minnesota. He signed a 3-year, $36 million deal to go play for the Browns. I love the deal. Really quick around the horn, which, I think that's the name of a TV show. It is. Is that trademark? Can we use that? Fuck it, we're gonna use it. Around the horn, I give it a solid B, because it's a great move by the Browns. It's a smart move by the Browns, and they beef up that interior line that was getting punished, I think, in the running game. And yeah, that creases their defense. So, John, letter grade for the deal for Sheldon Richardson, I should say.
I'll say C+.
And Bronson.
B+.
Number 11, and this was a little bit of a shocker, but also not of a shocker. Tyrann Mathieu signing a 3-year, $42 million contract with the Kansas City Chiefs. An A for me. The Honey Badger is still young, can play anywhere on the field. Cornerback, slot, safety, linebacker. I think I tweeted out you guys or whatever. He played just about everywhere on the field. He even played some defensive tackle in some schemes. I give it a solid A for a Chiefs team that needs defense. So, John?
I think that's, I'll give this one a B+, especially after, they're moving out from Eric Berry. So they get some help in the backfield, and 3 years, $42 million, especially where some of the other safeties signed. Not a bad deal whatsoever. Win-win for both.
And Bronson?
B+.
Preston Smith leaves the Redskins, goes to the Packers, 4 years, $52 million. Again, I gotta give it a B. I've loved Preston Smith. I love the way he plays, and I don't think he's tapped into his full potential. I wish he would have done better in Washington, but, is what it is. Bronson, start with you. Letter grade. And don't grade on a curve, because it's the Packers.
No, I also tweeted the group saying that move really pissed me off because it was a good one. I've always liked Preston. I always thought he was underrated and probably one of your best players on your defense. So it's a shame to see him go. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a good B.
John.
Yeah, I'll give it a B too. Good signing.
And then I think the last one we'll talk about, I don't know if it happened on day one or not. I think it did, but Zadarius Smith, we briefly talked about 4 years, $66 million.
Oh yeah, man, all three of the Packers signings, which you're not mentioning one of them, they all happened in like a span of 10 minutes of each other.
Adrian Amos, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that one hurt. I know that hurt you, Bronson, a lot.
Yeah,
so.
I unfollowed him on Twitter. I have rescinded my offer to my restaurant. He is no longer allowed.
If he steps into your restaurant, Bronson is going to cook your eggs wrong. You want scrambled, bitch? You get soft boiled.
How you DM'd me on Twitter, right?
No.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, we spoke to each other briefly on Twitter because he's from Towson. I was like, hey man, whenever you're in town, if you ever want to eat at the restaurant that I work at, dinner's on me. And he was like, all right man, like what's the name of your restaurant? Maybe I'll stop by. And that offer has rescinded. So when you come home for the off season, sir.
No, you'll get him eggs, but like I said, he'll be like, can I get scrambled eggs? He'll be like, soft boiled, bitch!
Extra cheddar!
I'm gonna make you fat, so that way you're slow! Alright. And then, so Zadarius Smith, I'll give it a C, because it's like because I think he only had the 1 year of production, if I'm not mistaken, right? Like, he's been...
typical Baltimore pass rusher that leaves and sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
I agree.
There's one every year.
Yep, absolutely. So,
Trevor Johnson.
yeah. So, let's see here. Yeah, he had the one good year last year. He's been solid, and he hasn't played that much, but we'll have to see how everything shakes out. So we're like, okay, day one, whew, there was a lot of orgasms going on. There was a lot of like, holy shit moves. Like, okay, all right. And then day two happened, and not many moves happened other than, the Anthony Barr stuff, a couple different, minor moves or other moves that happened, stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, I'm at work, and I'm looking at Twitter, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? There's something afoot. And I think Bronson, or me, one of us, because Bronson and I were basically, like, on Twitter the entire time, and, like, retweeting the group and everything like that. Odell Beckham Jr. was traded to the Cleveland Browns. And I go, and we all go, and we all collectively go, what the fuck just happened? Like, we can't laugh at the Cleveland Browns anymore. They're actually for real. Like, ridiculously for real. And the initial trade that came out was Odell Beckham for a first, a second, and Jabril Peppers. And I go, okay, like, it's a little low for Odell Beckham, but, it is what it is, and, all this stuff, blah, 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 deal with it, whatever. So, then it comes out that it's not just that. It's actually two trades in the one, because we talked about last week. It was the Olivier Vernon, Kevin Zeitler trade, and instead they just wrapped it in the one neat package, and it was Odell and Olivier Vernon for Jabril Peppers, a first and a third. A fucking third round pick. And I don't know how.
Zeitler. And don't forget Zeitler.
Yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Jabril Peppers, Zeitler, a first and a third. And as a Redskins fan, I'm laughing at the Giants. As a guy on this podcast that tries to be as impartial as possible, what the fuck are the Giants doing? Like, seriously, what the fuck are the Giants doing? If you're not going to draft a quarterback last year, if you're going to go, okay, we're going to give it one more ride with Eli. We've got Saquon. We got Odell. We got him under contract. We're not going to trade him. We got all these pieces. We've rebuilt the offensive line, but we're going to give it one more try. If you're not going to move on from Eli, and you're trading Odell Beckham, then what the fuck? Then why'd you pick Saquon Barkley? If you're not going to build that offense and try to make one more, then why did you draft Saquon Barkley? Why not get your quarterback last year? Or even, here's a fucking thought. You knew the Jets wanted a quarterback. You knew the Jets desperately wanted a quarterback. If you're not going to draft a quarterback last year, and you're going to say, we really want Saquon, but, hey, the Jets, we know they want a quarterback. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're up here to draft a quarterback. Why are you not at 2 going, hey, Jets, you want to come up here and we'll take a 4th round pick and you guys can take your quarterback and we'll drop down to 1? How are you not making that phone call if you're Dave Gettleman? How are you making a trade for number 17 overall, number 95 overall, Kevin Zeitler, who is a Pro Bowl guard, but is 29 years old, and Jabril Peppers, who, yes, last year made strides, but after his first year was considered a bust? How are you going to make that trade and go over to the New York Giants fans and say, well, we're trying this year? Like, you can't. You fucking can't.
Dude, Gettleman's a goddamn fool. I think Giants fans have to be just as upset as Redskins fans usually are with Bruce Allen. Because, it's like, the fool even went on NFL Network and was like, we didn't re-sign Odell Beckham to trade him. Well, obviously he did. There were rumors, like, what was it, last week when, Browns fans were making Browns jerseys with Odell, and then a week later it becomes a reality. And then, I know we're not really going to talk about, and then they go out and overpay Golden Tate. I didn't think he was going to get that kind of money. He's a solid receiver, but then I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? Like, I'm still confused. It's like, if they don't draft Haskins, Giants fans are just going to...
They're not. The rumor is, and that's the fucking rumor, is that they're targeting fucking defensive linemen like Rashawn Gary at number 6, and they're going to draft Daniel Jones at number 17. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you absolutely fucking kidding me? Again, as a Redskins fan, I'm happy on the inside that the Giants are going to continue to be in mediocrity for the next however many years. But as a football fan, what the fuck are you doing, Giants? Like, I have no words for it. I honestly don't, because Daniel Jones is not even, like, he did not look good at the Senior Bowl. He didn't look good during his combine. Like, the fuck are you doing? I have no words for it, man. Again, if you're not going to build around Odell and you draft Saquon Barkley at 2, then what are you doing? Are you just going to sit there and play mediocrity and play the waiting game and everything like that? And another kick in the balls for Giants fans. This is a team that could have traded Landon Collins, that let him go free. This is a team, and I know they'll get a compensation pick in 2020, but this is a team that could have gotten at least a 3 in this year's draft, that could have propelled them to go get a quarterback at number 3 overall, or 2 overall, or wherever the case may be. Definitely number 3 with the Jets. But they could have gotten a 3 this year for Landon Collins. And there was a team that was even willing to pay a first-round pick for Landon Collins. So what the fuck are you doing?
I'm loving all of this right now.
I've got no words for it. I think I've exhausted everything. Bronson, you have any fucking words for this?
Let it burn!
Mm-hmm.
Like, Jesus. Yeah.
A lot of stupidity.
It really is. I have no words for it. I think it's awful. And I have to calm myself down because I'm starting to stutter. Like a, whew. Okay, breathe, Max. Breathe. It's okay. It's the Giants. They suck anyways. You have to just, if you're a Giants fan, you have to just hate life. You really just have to hate life at this point. Like you pretty much want to drink a bottle of bleach at this point. Like, it's awful. I feel bad for Giants fans. Why are you trading for Jabril Peppers when you know you're not going to sign him because Dave Gettleman doesn't re-sign fucking defensive backs? Just why? I've got nothing. As for the Browns, I'm off on my New York Giants. Holy shit! Are their team going to be fucking good next year? You're dealing with Baker Mayfield, who, all intents and purposes last year, played great, and if he does what he did last year, that's scary for the entire season. You're going to get Kareem Hunt back after 8 games. You have Nick Chubb. You have Odell. You have Jarvis. You have David Njoku. You have a solid offensive line. And you've built that defense now. That defense is stacked. And you didn't have to give up a second-round pick. So you can still... And we've talked about the talent in this draft. Talent's going to fall. So they can still go out and get an impact player in the second round. Holy shit, John Dorsey was given the keys, and we shat on the previous Browns regime. We really did. We shat on them. We said, man, this is fucking awful. We laugh at them. But realistically, Sashi Brown basically did what the Philadelphia 76ers did, which was we're going to tank as much as possible, gather as many high draft picks as possible, and draft talent based on that. They did that. The Browns did that. And maybe Sashi Brown wasn't the guy to execute and finish that plan. That's fine. That's why you bring in John Dorsey to execute and finish the plan. And holy fuck has he finished that plan. And we're still not done with the Browns basically rebuilding.
Yep.
Sorry, John.
But like I talked about earlier, it's like Antonio Brown leaves and all the Ravens defenders on Twitter were like, well, shit, now we got to deal with Odell. And I mean, like I said, I mean, when the season ended, I said the Cleveland Browns are most likely going to win the division next year. As soon as that trade happened, I'm like, they better win that division. And I mean, Freddie Kitchens is going to have a fun time being the head coach. I mean, it's literally put up or shut up. I mean, I know they talk a lot about, sophomore slumps for quarterbacks, but I don't think Baker's going to really have one. He tore it up last year. They had a big turnaround from going 0-16 the season before to 7-8-1, and they're going to win at least 10, if not 11 games. And with that kind of talent, their defense is already great. They just added Odell,
and they added everybody's. And you're forgetting they added Olivier Vernon.
Yep. And that just makes the defense even more scary. And it's like, good fucking Lord. Like, who are these guys? Like, if they do not win the division next year, I'll be shocked. I mean, it just goes to prove that the Browns are just cursed. But there's no reason why they should. On paper, this is a legit contender. I mean, they should be up there with honestly, I'll say, I mean, they should be up there with New England, Kansas City, and the Chargers. They should be up there. I mean, they have insane talent right now with one of the most talented young quarterbacks in the league. I know he only played 1 year, but I mean, dude came in out of nowhere and was just making all these plays like he's been doing it his whole life. And I'm scared of shit, man. I mean, it's insane. The Browns are scary. I never thought I would ever say that, but here they are. And, Freddie Kitchens is going to have an awesome time in his first year as a head coach.
Yeah. And what's crazy about this too is that, and it just came out too, that because a lot of people were saying the Browns, Odell's going to the Browns. And then finally right before the deal to the Browns happened, about an hour beforehand, there was a lot of people reporting, no, the 49ers are in on this. The 49ers were going to trade for Odell Beckham. I know. Fuck it, we'll do it live. No, the 49ers are going to trade for Odell, and now they're saying that the Giants went number 2 for Odell. So how do you go from going, hey, San Francisco, we'll give you Odell, but we want the number 2 overall pick, and not a pick swap either. Not we'll move up to number 2. You guys move down to number 6, and you get Odell, and maybe like a 3rd and a 4th and whatever. No, they would just want number 2 overall. Are you gonna go and say, hey, we tried, we were gonna get the number 2 overall pick, get that quarterback that we wanted, or even Nick Bosa, we were gonna get Nick Bosa, yeah, but it didn't work out that way. So here, Giants fans, here's 17.95 and Jabril fucking Peppers. That's a spit in the face. Fuck out of here.
Goddamn.
Fuck out of here. So. I think we're done. I think we're done with this bullshit. I can't believe it. So, then the other big trade that happened at the same time the Odell trade was happening, which was Dee Ford, basically on his way from Kansas City, and signed the franchise tag, or was tagged at the very least, gets traded to those San Francisco 49ers that we were just talking about, who needed a pass rusher, and gets traded for a 2020 second round pick. So not a pick this year, but a pick next year. And signs a 5-year, $87.5 million contract, which, Bronson, I think we were talking about in the group chat. That's about where we placed him in terms of value, is it not?
Yeah, that's exactly where I put it, yeah.
Yeah, so, listen, we're pretty good at these contract thing. If any NFL teams want to hire us, we got you, boo. We got you. So, but as for value, anybody shocked by a 2020 second round draft pick?
No, I mean, I like it. I think the Chiefs really just wanted to get him out. So if they could, they probably saw themselves getting a second round pick, nothing more, and they weren't going to settle for anything less. So I don't think they cared what year the pick was in. I think they just wanted to get him out because he has more value on the team right now than he will at the end of the next season in that defense.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I mean, there was talks that they wanted a second round pick this year. That would have been number 34 overall out of for San Francisco. But John, do you like the trade for both teams, or do you like it more so for one team than the other?
I like it. I think for both teams. I mean, for San Francisco, I mean, like you guys said, they needed that at that position badly. And not only did they get him, but they secure him for the next 5 years. Dee Ford gets that nice contract like we all thought he would get. And, I mean, the 49ers, they're trying to make moves to keep up with the Rams and even the Seahawks. I mean, they're trying to keep up in that division. And, with Garoppolo coming back, if he can stay healthy, I mean, that's their guy. And they're trying to build up on defense. I think it's a good move for both sides, I think.
Yeah.
There's no way the Chiefs are going to pay him that much. I mean, they're going to have to worry about Mahomes after next season because he's
right. Well, and we're not going to talk about it right now because it's still a developing story, but, they were looking to sign Tyreek Hill to a big extension. There's reports now of an alleged battery that happened to his son. But again, we're not going to talk about that right now. We're going to let that story play out because I don't want to be like, yeah, he's a fucking asshole. And look at his history. And then it turns out that it was nothing more than whatever, So we need to let that story play out. It is what it is as of right now. But regardless, they made those moves to sign their players to big extensions. Mahomes, Hill, and a couple other players, like eventually Kyle Fuller, stuff like that. So, but yeah, I think they make those moves. They trade Dee Ford, they release Justin Houston, they release Eric Berry, just to basically free up a bunch of cap for some extensions they got to work on. So, and we're not done. So those two happen, and then all night we're sitting there, and we're like, all right, Le'Veon Bell. The fuck you're going. You're the domino. You're the top of the domino right now, man. You're the top. Let's do it. Let's go. And we're like, all right, Jets. We know the Jets are in them. Let's Jets. Oh shit, the Ravens. What the fuck? Hey, we talked about the Ravens being a destination for Le'Veon Bell 4 weeks ago, whenever the fuck we talked about it. We're breaking news. That's what we were hoping for. John was hoping for a running back. We were hoping that we could break the news before anybody else did because we're like, hey, the Ravens need a running back and they need a weapon for Lamar Jackson. The Ravens. All of a sudden the Ravens are like, no, seriously, we want Le'Veon Bell. That's what we want. ASMR right here, baby. But we go and we're just texting back and forth, and John's like, motherfucker, come on, just sign with us, please. John, what ended up happening?
Well, apparently he signed with the Jets, and apparently the Ravens never contacted his agent. So that was just a huge ass fucking media smokescreen that just made me sit in my bed before work, refreshing Twitter and staring at NFL Network like crazy, like, oh my god, it's gonna happen. And then apparently it was never gonna happen.
It was like this. It was like,
Surprise, motherfucker.
Exactly. God damn it.
so yeah, Le'Veon Bell signs a 4-year, $52.5 million contract that includes, somebody say it's $25 million. I think it's $35 million, if I'm not mistaken, was the final.
NFL.com says it's 25, but who knows?
Who knows? It's somewhere between $25 and $35 million. It's definitely not what we thought he was going to sign for. A lot of people are shitting on the deal because they're like, oh, the Steelers offered him 5 years and $70 million. Ha, 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 ha. Yeah, but the issue with that deal was the fact that it was only fully guaranteed for $10 million. Like, that's it, fully guaranteed. So they could have easily backed down that deal after 1 year if James Conner was going to still produce. And, yeah, it was a dumb move. I think this is a great pickup by the Jets. They need a weapon for Darnold to grow up with. Relatively speaking, it's a great contract for the Jets to sign him to. I mean, people will say, oh, they were just bidding against themselves, blah, 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 blah. No, I think it's a great deal for them. It just, there's your guy. There's your bell cow. Dad joke, knock on wood, whatever you want to call it. There's your bell cow right there, is Le'Veon Bell for Sam Darnold. Bronson, you've been relatively quiet. I think I've overshadowed you a little bit. What do you think of the deal?
I didn't mind it. I mean, it was kind of boring when it was all said and done. Like, I was just kind of like, oh, that was not exciting.
Yeah, right?
And he got his money. I'm worried about his health because I was just reading all sorts of different things about how much weight he gained, yada, yada, yada. I mean, he's had injury concerns in the past and early in his career. So, like what, is he going to, like, tear his ACL in training camp? Is he going to get hurt the first couple weeks of the season? And then he's going to be thankful that he got his contract. And this is why I didn't play for the Steelers, like yada, yada, yada. But I don't know. I'm happy for him. He's probably going to be literally even the go-to guy on that offense.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, I mean, it's Adam Gase is King Dink and Dunk, so I can see it. I can see the screens to Le'Veon, to Jameis Crowder, to fucking Robbie. Wouldn't be surprised if they got rid of Jermaine Kearse. But I could see Robbie and Yuan and like Crowder being like the three guys. And then curious to see if they bring back Austin Seferian-Jenkins.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think the Jets at 3 will still trade out of their spot. It just depends on what they do because they still need a pass rusher, so they could still stay at 3 and get Josh Allen, or if they want to get a couple mid-round picks or at least one mid-round pick, they could easily trade back with maybe the Giants. I don't think so, but maybe another team that wants to jump them for a quarterback. Maybe the Dolphins. See some inter-division trades. Maybe even still the Redskins, depending on everything. And if you're the Jets, I think you're walking away from free agency going, we've got our leader on our defense, we've got a weapon on offense, let's do this. And I think you're coming away from free agency very happy, very excited. So now, John, we're not done talking about your team though, because I know you didn't end up with Le'Veon Bell, but you ended up with the next best thing. Mark Ingram. No. No. We'll talk about Mark Ingram signing, but no, you actually end up with the number 2 free agents in the NFL, which is Earl Thomas. 4 years, $55 million, $32 million guaranteed. Yeah, man. Big money. Big fucking money for Earl Thomas.
Yeah, the Ravens are really never known for going out and grabbing some of the top guys in free agency, so that that was kind of refreshing seeing. I mean, like I said, the first couple of days I was pretty critical of Eric DeCosta because I'm like, all right, what's he gonna do? Like, is it gonna be more of the same, or what's gonna happen? And they go out and they grab Earl Thomas, arguably one of the best safeties in the league. He is coming off a broken leg, which is, I believe, his second same injury that he suffered. The last time he suffered that injury, he came back and he had an All-Pro year. When he's healthy, he's deadly. He can attack the ball. He can pick it off. And, there's a lot of buzz around Baltimore that this is, quote-unquote Ed Reed 2.0. And everyone's like, oh, man, he should, they should have the 20 club like what Dallas has with 88. But, the whole exchange was funny because, he ended up getting 29 from Marlon Humphrey. And he said that he's going to, probably throw some bread towards his Marlon Humphrey's mom's track team. But I'm stoked. Earl Thomas, we lost a lot of leaders on defense. We lost Charles Suggs. We lost Eric Weddle, CJ Mosley, and, those were really big veteran leaders on the defense. And Earl Thomas he plays with a lot of fire like Ed Reed did. When he's healthy, he's such a game changer. And now I can say we have Thomas Jefferson in the backfield. It's going to be awesome. TNT. That right there, just another one. When they're both healthy, one of the greatest safety duos in the game. And I was shocked. I'm happy. He's a very big game changer, and he's going to come to a team that was a top-ranked defense last year. And he said he was shocked, and it was apparently last second because a lot of teams or a lot of people thought that he was going to go possibly to the Cowboys, and then all of a sudden, like last second, the Ravens were like, "Oh, okay, well, we're not getting C.J. Mosley back. We offered Terrell Suggs a pretty handsome contract. They offered him more money than Arizona did, and that he wants to go there to finish his career. So like, all right, well, here, take all this money. We're not going to get Lev Bell. We're not going to." Get C.J. Mosley back. So here, take this money, and right there, just automatically calmed a lot of the nerves for especially Ravens fans. And the secondary is going to be insane this year. And I'm stoked. If he can stay healthy, this secondary is going to be insane.
Yeah. I think it's a solid move as long as he can stay healthy. Yeah, you touched on it. The Cowboys, I think, wanted him at 3 years, $30 million. And once Landon Collins got that big money, and especially Tyrann Mathieu got that big money, I think the Cowboys were like, "Yep, we're out." Like,
my boy Marquis upset because he's a big Cowboys fan, but I'm very happy, so I can't complain. And he gets to wear 29. Like I said, Humphrey was nice enough to give him that number, so.
Yeah, well, you know what? You know what I have to say about that? Fuck the Cowboys.
You know what? I agree.
And then, of course, John, really quick, Mark Ingram, 3 years, $15 million. Great it. Just, we know what he is. We know what he does. Stuff like that.
Yeah, he is 30, which is up there for running backs. But they got him for 3 years at $15 million, which is obviously a lot less than the Le'Veon Bell contract. And I think having him and Kenneth Gus Edwards in the backfield, especially with the rush attack that they're trying to create, is really great. I know they're trying to make a more balanced offense moving forward with a passing rush, but Ingram's awesome. He's a workhorse. He's a big guy, and when he's tired on and has to come over to the sidelines, if Gus Edwards can come out and do what he did last year, it's a great 1-2 rushing attack. I'm excited for it, I'm stoked. And like I said, they got him for a really good deal, too.
Letter grade.
I will say, I won't be biased, but I'm going to say B+.
Okay. All right, I can dig it. So, Bronson, your Bears, after hearing that they freed up a bunch of cap space, they were in on some players, ultimately just make some supplemental moves. Really quick, some of the bigger, they signed Mike Davis, running back from, I believe, Seattle, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
That's okay.
Semi-distracted. Emma's texting me.
we'll try to end this podcast in just 2 minutes. So, Mike Davis, running back from Seattle, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, he was like a practice squad guy that came in, played decent, I'd say above average, well enough to garner the Bears' attention. He definitely, I think Bears are probably going to trade him come any day now, any week now, maybe during the draft, whatever.
Jordan Howard, you talked about.
Yeah, they're gonna trade Jordan Howard. You know, they love rotating the running backs. I mean, we were even using our third string running back. He got like 100 and some odd carries as a Bear. I mean, Mazzell. I mean, we used him in the passing game and in the run game, and it was driving me nuts because I'm like, why are we fucking using this guy? Like, why would we put him on the field instead of Tariq? It doesn't make sense. But they clearly like to do that, and I think they're just now gonna confine Tariq to his passing downs, and I think they'll use Mike Davis inside the 20, short yardage situations, and I mean, he's making a little bit more than Howard is. I mean, Howard's going to get paid a hell of a lot more than what Mike Davis is making currently, and we got him longer than we now have Howard. So it's the writing on the wall is that Nagy's going to draft his go-to running back. He's going to pick the guy that he thinks is best. I wouldn't be surprised if we traded Howard and use that pick along with like the Oakland pick from next year's draft to help move up into maybe the second round.
Target like a David Montgomery.
Maybe, but I have a feeling it's gonna be my dude Miles out of Penn State, him or Damon Williams. I mean, I sent that tweet a while ago to you about who I think I would want. There was like 3 guys, but I really think Miles is gonna be the top choice. Like he's like a little lesser than Barkley was coming out of college, almost just as fast, a little slower. But yeah. I'm curious to see how it goes.
Yeah, they also signed Cordero Patterson, who, according to the New England Patriots, is the best returner of all time. Some pretty big shoes to fill there in Chicago. Matt Nagy gets his weapon, right?
Yeah, I mean, he gets like a gadget player that he can use in a variety of ways. Hell, he may even try to line him up at running back. He's been known to do that before in his career. He's definitely going to return kicks. He's already come out and said, yeah, like, now that I'm in Chicago, like, I'm really going to try to pick Devin Hester's brain and try to take as many tips from him as I can, because he did play receiver and kick returner for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a good move there. Buster Screen, really quick, 3 years, $16 million, basically replaces Bryce Callahan on a cheaper deal to play your slot corner. I like the move as well for that right there. Buster Screen's not bad when you play him in the slot. It's just the Jets tried to play him outside, and I don't think he played that well. So, and then finally, the last Bears signing that you guys had was cutting Bears dicks. That's our inside joke, is because his last name is Dix, and it's funny because we're guys and we have dicks. No, 1 year, $3.5 million. I mean, after all the safety money out there, little shocking in terms of everything, but I think the Bears get a steal. Am I not mistaken?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, he even came out and said, I mean, the Redskins clearly offered him more money. He was like, it's no offense to the Redskins, but I really want to fucking win games, and he's not going to come out and say it, but he really wants to beat the fucking Packers.
Yeah.
I mean, and he wants to prove them wrong. I mean, he was a first-round draft pick, and I think he just got stuck on a shit defense with a senile fucking defensive coordinator, and then they bring in Pettin. They never did anything to build that defense up until this year. They never signed anyone. I mean, their most exciting free agent signing over the last 5 years was Julius Peppers, and I mean he was in decline, and so I mean they clearly came out and were like, all right, well we can't do that anymore. We're gonna have to pay some defenders, and so they paid Amos where I thought they would pay him, and I think the Bears are just like, we have a lot of people under contract, but we need to be able to re-sign a fuck ton of our players. Like, I don't know, our quarterback, I think Tariq Cohen's going to be a priority. And, some of the, Anthony Miller, they got a draft class, that they're going to want to sign. And, so I think they're just like, we'll take some discounts and, some discount players. I mean, really, we're not weak on defense. Putting HaHa, he really doesn't have to do anything but just fucking cover.
And he slots right into where Adrian Amos was last year.
Yeah, right.
And arguably, you could argue that HaHa's a better player than Adrian Amos. You could make that argument, or at the very least, the same player.
Right. And then you took Buster instead of Bryce, but they took Buster over Bryce due to the fact that Bryce has literally been hurt every year the last 4 seasons. He has some sort of injury. Last year, it looked like he was going to be his first year not getting any injuries, and then 2 weeks before the playoffs, he breaks his ankle or whatever it was that happened to him. So, and I think Ryan Pace, after all the bullshit, that's 2 years in a row with, the most players on IR, the Alshon Jeffrey shit, the Cam Meredith shit, I think he just has a zero tolerance for players that are perennial injured people. He doesn't want anything to do with it. He doesn't want to risk it anymore. He's sick of it, so I don't think he's willing to take chances on players that get hurt anymore. That's why Kevin White's not here anymore. That's why Alshon's gone. That's why so many of our players are no longer with us, because we're just like, fuck it, we're not risking it anymore. So
yep, absolutely. So that's really it in terms of everything, in terms of what we got for the podcast. I mean, we could talk about the Dolphins trading Ryan Tannehill, but we all knew that was going to happen. I'm surprised they got a 4th round pick out of him for 2020.
M order to lift. Thank God.
Oh,
God.
Okay. Woo! All right, let's do it. Woo! 2 more hour podcast. Let's go through every free agent signing, baby. Woo!
Buckle up.
Fine. Now that we've got the time to talk about it, really quick, we'll talk about, because it was one of the smaller big stories out of it. Dolphins trading Ryan Tannehill. The Tannehill experiment's over in Miami. They traded him in a 6th round pick.
You could also argue maybe the Mariota one.
You could, absolutely. So it's one of those things where it's a smart move by the Titans, because you're at least getting an experienced veteran quarterback behind Mariota and somebody who's better than Blaine Gabbert. Arguably better than Blaine Gabbert. I think he's better than Blaine Gabbert. Fucking Blaine Gabbert's awful, but that's neither here nor there. But and the Dolphins, I think I tweeted to you guys, the Dolphins, they need to get rid of him. And I'm sure our boy Bruno is fucking ecstatic that the Tannehill experience over. But now they have no quarterback.
Well, here's what I think is, so we were talking earlier about, that it might be a possibility that the Giants aren't going to get Haskins. So will he fall to Miami? I think they pick at 13, or will they trade up and to get Haskins? I mean, because they're going to need someone. I mean, their backup is, I can't remember the dude's first name, last name Falk. And
Luke Falk. Falk.
They're definitely not going to roll with him. I mean, they got something up their sleeves, that's for sure. I mean, they were most likely going to move on from Tannehill regardless, and I'm sure many Dolphins fans, including our boy Bruno, was very ecstatic. I mean, because just like the Jets, I mean, they know that the Brady Belichick era is on, they're...
It's on life support at this point.
Yeah, it's on life support. I mean, there's maybe 1-2 more years left of that, who knows? And then the division is open for grabs. I mean, the Jets are setting themselves up, and they got to compete with that. They realize that, they've kind of been there over the last handful of years, but they got to keep up. I mean, and they haven't been there the last few years. I mean, it's hard to compete with the Patriots over the last 15 or so years, or 19 years even. So, I mean, they got to do something, and they got something up their sleeves that they're finally saying, okay, you know what, fuck it, we're moving off from Tannehill. You know, we got to do something.
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't know. I said, here's my theory. Because again, reports, we'll talk about reports all the time about everything. The reports are that Dolphins aren't enamored with this quarterback class. Now, that could change if they're sitting at 13 and let's say Haskins drops to 10. And they're like, okay, let's just trade up a fourth round pick. Let's trade that fourth round pick we got from the Titans next year to move up to get Dwayne Haskins. That could change easily, and they could go for Dwayne Haskins. I honestly think they're going to sign Brock Osweiler to another 1-year contract, and just roll with it, suck next year, and tank for Tua. Like, that's how I honestly think everything's going to break out in terms of everything. Because we've talked about multiple goddamn times on this podcast that next year's quarterback class is going to be so much better than this year's quarterback class. And if you're Miami and you have, you tank and you suck and whatever the case may be.
I mean, they're clearly trying to tank when they re-signed Devontae Parker.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So, and what's cool is Miami, I've sent you guys this tweet, is that Miami's going to have effectively anywhere from, with rollover cap space, anywhere from $100 million to $120 million. Plus, they're going to have at least 10 picks in next year's draft.
Right.
And if I'm Miami, I'm embracing the full tank. I am. What I'm doing is that I'm sitting at 13, and then when I get to my pick, I'm calling Kansas City. Be like, hey, we'll trade back to 29. I think they have 29. Well, hey, we'll trade back to 29. We'll take your 29 pick this year. We'll take a first next year and a second next, and that second you got for D Ford next year. Just embrace it. Just embrace the tank and get high. Get your fucking draft picks. Like get your high draft picks, man. And you'll have $100 million to spend on next year's free agency class, and you'll have multiple draft picks. That's what the Colts did. That's what the Browns did. Just embrace the tank. Just embrace it, and don't get a quarterback this year. Please, Miami.
Do what the Colts did. Suck for luck.
Yeah, I'm begging you right now, Miami. Miami fans, if you're listening right now, I know. It's been misery. It's been awful. It's been terrible. You haven't had a franchise quarterback since Dan Marino. And that was back in the year 2000. So you haven't had a franchise quarterback in 20 years. Just wait one more year. I promise. All your patience will be paid off when you've got, again, $100 million and 10 draft picks, maybe 12 draft picks, especially if you can get fucking 4 draft picks or 3 draft picks in the top 60. No, you would have 4. You would have 4 draft picks in the top 60. Do it. Just please, Miami. Do it. Do it. Just do it.
Come on.
Just do it. So, I mean, that's about, I think we've covered everything that was big, right? I don't think we can really, there's not much else, if I'm not mistaken, right? I mean, we can talk about Teddy Bridgewater too really quick. He pulled a Drew Brees. He visited with Miami, and because they wanted him as a quarterback, and that's the dot I connected a long time ago as well. And Bridgewater said, "Nah, I'm good," and signed a contract with the Saints. Because
I don't blame him. That's the smartest thing he did, man. I was like, please don't sign with the Dolphins, bro. Like, you really have a chance to like take over, and
yeah,
you're still so young. I mean, he's what, 26?
Yeah, he's so young. He's gonna make a boatload of money. Yeah, he'll be 27 in November this year.
Like one of the best minds in the NFL in terms of offense, and
yeah, and I think because the rumors were that he didn't want to sign with the Saints for multiple years, and that's why it's a 1-year deal, because he didn't want to sign a multiple-year deal because he's afraid Sean Payton's going to leave when Drew Brees retires probably next year. But I think Sean Payton probably, when he heard everything and he heard Miami was knocking, he probably gave him a call, be like, "I'm all in on you, baby. Like you come back to us, you know, and be our backup and learn from Breeze for one more year. And when you're ready to go, man, we're ready to roll with you."
Do we want to talk about Deshaun Jackson going back to Philly, or?
Yeah, I forgot about that. No, but, I mean,
Yeah, at least Eagles fans can bring back out their number 10 jerseys. That's all I gotta say.
yeah, after they burn them, after some of the fucking idiots burn them.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's an okay deal in the end. I mean, it doesn't really cost him anything. He gets to end his career. And what's that?
Him and Alshon would be a good pair. I mean, he doesn't have to worry about being the premier wide receiver like he was before. So he's got some help over there.
Well, I'm really curious to see if they trade at Nelson Aguilar, because I feel like they keep trying to trade him and no one's like taking him because of his $9 million cap hit.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm really curious to see if they trade him somewhere.
Yeah, there's not really.
Jacksonville.
I mean, no,
Give him to the
they could.
Niners.
Yeah, I was gonna say the Niners, but I don't think the Niners necessarily want another fast guy, because they have a couple fast guys already. They've got Marquise Goodwin, and they've got who's their other wide receiver that they've got? 1 second, Dante Pettis. Dante Pettis. So you have two small guys. You know, you theoretically, if you're the 49ers, you want a big guy. I mean, yeah, they were in on Odell, but Odell, even though he's 5'11", Odell has no issues running across the middle of the field and taking a big hit. He has no issues whatsoever, and that's why Odell is Odell Beckham at 5'11". You know, he can do that. So I think they want that big type of receiver, that guy who can go over the middle, and I don't see that out of Nelson Aguilar. I see him as your go guy, but you already have that Marquise Goodwin, who's vastly cheaper, and Dante Pettis in the same vein. Like, he's a guy who can go over the middle sometimes, but at this point in his career, I know he's a rookie last year, but he's injury prone. He's been very injury prone in college. He was injury prone last year, so I think you have to take a step back on that and look at the draft in terms of San Francisco. I think Hakeem Butler is going to be there in the second round. And if you're Hakeem Butler, or if he's there at pick 34 or whatever, and you're you don't even wait. You just run up to the podium and be like, "We want Hakeem! Hakeem!" That's about it. So, yeah. Is there anything else? I mean, Jesus Christ. I think we've covered it all. I think we've
got most of the big guys, yeah.
Okay, now let's go into a little speculation period. I mean, we got some free agents out there that are fairly big time players, man, and I'm very curious to see where a lot of them go. Like, I don't know, Justin Houston. I mean, I see a lot of people pining for him to go to the Ravens, the Bears. It makes sense to go to the
Jets.
Ravens.
Probably the Jets.
Who are you talking about?
Justin Houston.
Yeah, I heard that earlier.
Earl Thomas tweeted at him, like, "Come on down, we need you."
If the money's right, why not?
Yeah, I think you could make the points and connect the dots to Baltimore. I think you could connect the dots to the Bears because of Matt Nagy. I think you could connect the dots for the Jets because they still need a pass rusher, and that's not gonna dissuade the Jets from drafting a pass rusher at 3. But if you could have a guy like Justin Houston, could you imagine if Justin Houston was lined up on one side and you have Josh Allen on the other side and Justin Houston's healthy? That's fucking scary. Like,
How
that's
about
just
Justin Houston on one side with Khalil Mack on the other side.
I exactly. I mean, that's scary.
that?
That's just as scary. Okay, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Calm your
Same
titties.
team come to make a sack baby together.
So,
I'm not gonna lie.
And then another one I think a sneaky good signing that's not really two potential guys that I would like to see get signed behind like power backs. I would love to see like Bilal on the Ravens or TJ Yeldon. Get that pass catcher in there behind Mark Ingram. If you're trying to like use him well, give him like that Kamara Ingram combo with either one of those guys. Spencer Ware is still available. I mean, fuck, he was supposed to be the goddamn starter, and now he's just hanging out there. I thought my Bears were gonna sign his ass, fucking Mike Davis. And then you got Jordy Nelson hanging out there. So I could see him going back to the fucking Packers, but I also could see him on the Patriots. The Patriots tried signing every goddamn white
receiver, yeah.
down by Cole and Adam Humphries. So
Yeah.
maybe, Jordy goes there.
And Ndamukong Suh is still out there as well. I mean, as a veteran defensive tackle player and the guy who's still a premier run stopper, he's still out there. There's
Cook is still available.
Jared Cook
Saints were,
still.
in on him.
Yeah, Zach Brown got released by Washington. I mean,
And don't forget Tyler Eifert re-signed with the Bengals today. That was pretty crazy to me. Matt Khalil.
Yeah,
Solid player.
Matt Khalil is awful. I mean, he was okay in Minnesota, and then he did not do anything in Carolina, and that's why they released him. So, God, I forgot. I'm just looking over the free agent signings. Devin Funchess got Ziggy Ansah, yeah, but Devin Funchess got $13 million from the Colts. Now, a lot of people were like, God, the Colts are wasting our stupid money. No, they're not. No, they're really not, because $13 million for Devin Funchess, like, it's a 1-year contract. It's kind of like the Alshon contract, essentially. Like, it's hey, we'll give you this money. If you do great, we'll extend you. If you don't do great, sorry, bye. Like, you can go off into the fuck off. So I love the contract. I think they've
been desperately trying to get a big-bodied receiver.
Yeah, and that's a good pickup by the Colts because
And Andrew Luck can actually throw the fucking ball.
he can throw the ball better than Cam Newton. Yes. Clay Matthews is still out there.
Hey, can Timmy Jernigan come back to the Ravens?
If the money's right, that's.
I mean, the money will be right for him.
Yeah, they didn't really do nothing too spectacular when he went to Philly. So
yeah,
Bronson, do you want Clay? Do you want Clay Matthews?
I'd take him, but I feel like we've already got our Packer. Honestly, if I were to take any Packer right now, it would be Nick Perry.
Yeah, on a 1-year prove-it deal. Yeah, I could see that. I would like that because it's Nick Perry's been very injury prone and hasn't really proved much.
Fucking defenders on the Packers are injury prone.
Yeah.
Clay, fucking all of them, man. But honestly, it's Justin Houston. I think number 1 for me. Shane Ray's up there as like a 2-year minimum league deal, or maybe like a 1-year deal with like an option. Just like I would love to just pluck a young buck that just was on a bad system.
Shane Ray's still out there.
I just said that. God damn it, you don't listen.
Probably
I
not.
literally just said that. Where's Samantha? She's sucking your dick right now.
No, she's not sucking my dick. Eric, God, we didn't even talk about Eric Berry's still out there. Like Eric Berry, who's a all-pro safety, who, yes, has been slowed by injuries the last couple of years, but God, you want to talk about leaders of defense? Like, yes, please, come to the Redskins. Please, I'll take you on a 1-year deal.
Didn't he just came back for the AFC title game, right? Like, that's when he came back?
Yeah, I think he came back for the... Yeah, so I'll take Eric Berry to pair up with Landon Collins. Oh my God. Oh, I just came in my pants a little bit. Oh, God, just thinking about those two. Like, you could have Eric Berry just jizzed.
No Thomas Jefferson, though.
No, it's no Thomas Jefferson. Fuck your...
I'm gonna love saying that. I'm sorry.
Fuck your Thomas Jefferson. Bitch. You bitch. Yeah. So there's still a lot of moves to be made, but I think we're about wrapped up. I think my voice is wrecked. my voice started going when I started going off on the Giants, because that was stupid. But yeah, that about does it for us here at the Pass Interference Podcast, where you can listen to this wonderful podcast on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube. Yeah, we're on YouTube too. I keep forgetting to mention that we're on YouTube, but nobody really listens to YouTube podcasts. It's weird. Gotta get that YouTube Red to listen. It's just weird. So, or Google Play Music. I don't even know what the fuck they call it anymore. But yeah, Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, basically anywhere where you can listen to podcasts. We're on Facebook at the Past Interference Podcast, and also on Twitter at P_I_podcast. Johan, give the people what they want.
All right. So I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Necromancer. It's N3 KROMANCER. I'm very close to getting my stream set up. We're almost there, thanks to my good buddy Maxwell, my buddy. So almost there. Give me a follow. Check it out.
Yeah, and then Bronson, give the people what they want.
This Jack. Kidding. You can find me on Instagram at ChefManBronson or on the Twitters where I'm far more active, Bronson IOUS. Also, you can follow us on Past Interference Podcast on Instagram. It's a little lacking. It's a work in progress. We'll figure it out. But, yeah. That's it.
Bitches. Yeah, and you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at OG Liquid Jesus. And you can find me streaming on Twitch at Liquid Jesus 1, where I play many funny sounders, including...
I am the hype!
So,
I'm still laughing.
so that about does this for this wonderful podcast. Everybody, have a good night.
On to the draft we go.
Woo!